2 years ago, and for the first time in over 2 decades, a municipal utility district challenged the constitutionality of the Voting Rights Act. We refer to this case by those initials, MUD. No organization has been more intimately involved in defending the Voting Rights Act than the Legal Defense Fund, from the very first day to right now. The Voting Rights Act transformed our society and our democracy, and we will do everything within our power to defend it.
The Voting Rights Act is about America's unkept promises. It's about demands that citizens made on the nation to live up to those promises.
For much of our history, Black people were not granted access to the tools of citizenship. That is, the right to be free from racial discrimination, to participate fully in the democratic process, and in society more broadly.
The Legal Defense Fund's been involved throughout its history in defending and protecting the voting rights of African Americans, but ultimately the entire country benefits when the democracy is a more legitimate one.
The MUD case is a case where a small jurisdiction in the city of Austin is seeking to bail out from coverage under Section 5.
The MUD is a political entity which adopts voting changes and moves polling places and changes district boundaries and makes the kind of changes that could have an impact on minority voting strength.
The MUD case is the latest in a long line of constitutional challenges against the Voting Rights Act.
And we intervened in the lawsuit because we felt like we had a distinct interest here, which was to defend the voting rights of those African American residents who live in the MUD.
Well, I came here to go to school at the University of Texas, and just after that, graduating, just liked it here, and we decided to stay here after.
Yeah, I came here because of my husband, old story, and I liked it here in the state.
We were very attracted by the beauty of the area. They had a community pool there, community tennis court, basketball court, several picnic areas, little parks for kids, and just the makeup of that community really attracted us there. So we did what we thought we needed to do and made an offer and a home out there.
The schools were outstanding, and that was also one of the deciding factors as to why we selected that particular community.
They have an interesting story to share about being one of the only families of color inside of Canyon Creek, the residential area that sits inside of the MUD.
Sometimes people, when they're not used to dealing with African Americans, they don't always know what to say or even know how to react sometimes. But a comment was made very complimentary to Nicole and I. Oh, you guys look so young. How can you have so much at such a young age? The couple who was right there, they're younger than us. And they pretty much had the same thing we had, and the couple to our left was a couple of years older, but still in the same age bracket. But we were the ones who was, we were so lucky to have so much.
I kind of started experiencing what racism was, because in Jamaica I never knew anything about that.
In Germany, where I'm really a minority, when people see a black person, they're more amazed. But here it's different. It's like a down look at you, or what you're doing here, or they immediately associate it with like a lower type of human to me. And that is the difference. It's not like amazement, it's like more resentment.
Our clients helped us understand what it's like to live in the MUD, what it's like to be a black person in Austin, Texas, what it's like to be a black person in the state of Texas.
The interesting thing about their story is that they continue to face discrimination even though they are successful.
Mr. Graham tells the story of having to sell his nicer car for a less expensive car because he was being harassed so frequently by the police. And he also tells a story of an incident where he was helping his son learn how to ride a bicycle and was harassed by the police on his front yard by an officer who didn't believe that he owned the home he lives in.
To me, it was a good thing that the second officer that came was a black guy, because I could tell the guy that came first just did not want to talk or negotiate anything. He just wanted to pretty much do it his way aggressively. And I was trying to explain, say, I'm here with my son, we're just trying to ride the bike.
Our interveners help put a face to the case and a face to who this case is really about.
Part of the theory of the plaintiff's case in the mud is that although discrimination was very bad in 1965 when the act was passed, it's not so bad anymore.
Modern discrimination is different. You can't see it as easily as you saw it in 1965.
It's not about games. It's not about hiding the polling place. It's about whether or not everybody can participate as a citizen.
The Voting Rights Act is a tool that helps to curb racial discrimination in the area of voting. We're finding that in the mud, that it exists there with the residents, the racial minority residents who've had real experiences with racial discrimination, which attest to the real need of the Voting Rights Act, even in 2008.
First, I didn't think much of it, but then I was thinking there could be only reasons behind it, either personal reasons or really devious reasons.
If they want to change something that's been working for a long time, I don't really see the need for it. So you got to question the motive behind it.
There may be initially good intentions to just maybe make some small changes that may work for some people, but if you allow them that window of opportunity to bail out, someone with the wrong intentions may come in and want to do something that's more devious.
As this case now proceeds to the Supreme Court, democracy is what's at stake. Democracy is about ensuring that all citizens have the opportunity to participate fully and equally in our political process.
Even as great advances have been made toward racial justice and equality for blacks in America, there are other forces that seek to roll back or cause the retrenchment of those gains. And it's important for us now, as we experience progress and advancement, not to allow the retrenchment to happen on our watch.
Racism still exists throughout our society, throughout our country. And it still exists even in the municipal utility district that is bringing the challenge to the Voting Rights Act. The way we protect African Americans and other minorities against the impact of racism in their voting rights is by having a Voting Rights Act. The Legal Defense Fund was involved in crafting that legislation, helping put together the legislative record, helping see that it got passed by the Congress and signed by the President. And we've been involved ever since in defending it from court challenges. We are the preeminent organization that has defended voting rights for everyone in this country, and we will always be there to do that.